Forgiveness really does nothing, as the Course explains over and over again. All that it does is undo. It removes what the ego system has put there. If you look on the board, what we have, the wrong mind is the defense or the cover over the right mind, and the world is the cover over the wrong mind, which is the cover over the right mind. What forgiveness does is simply remove those two veils, and then what's left is the love of Jesus, which was always there. This is extremely important so that you don't get caught into thinking that forgiveness does something. Again, as Gloria said, that's what the Song of Prayer pamphlet refers to as forgiveness to destroy. So forgiveness simply is the undoing of the ego thought system. And the ego thought system can be summarized in two basic principles. One is that the ego always wants to keep what it stole from God, which is the separation, which means it wants to keep its individuality, which means it wants to keep its specialness. It wants to keep its autonomy. But, which is the second principle, it doesn't want to be responsible for it. The ego always wants to keep what it stole, which is its specialness and its individuality and its autonomy, that I'm on my own. But it doesn't want to be responsible for it, because if it's responsible for it, then God will punish it. Right? Because individuality is synonymous with sin. There is no individuality in heaven. There's only individuality once you believe you've left heaven. All right? So that's tantamount to sin. Sin always will be punished. Therefore, if I could keep my individuality but give away my sin, then I have my cake and I eat it too. And then God will get the one who is the sinner. This is exactly why the world was made. Because the problem is there's nobody outside of me. Nobody exists outside of me. Therefore, I have to make somebody up that I can scapegoat. I have to make up some figure that I could take my guilt once I deny it and say the guilt or the sin is not in me, it's in you. And since there is no you, I have to make you up. Just as at night when I sleep, I make up all the figures in my dream. There aren't people in my bed. There's nobody chasing me with a knife in my bedroom. It's simply a figment of my imagination, literally. That's exactly what we do with our waking experiences. Right? That's what we do with birth. That's what we do with our families. That's what we do throughout what we call our life. There has to be somebody that we can blame. And once again, since there's nobody we can blame except ourselves, because there's nobody else, we literally make up these figures. And then we attack them. And we attack them by projecting our guilt onto them. That's what attack is. At the beginning of chapter 6, which is where Jesus discusses his crucifixion and gives a totally different interpretation of it than the churches have done, he says right at the beginning of that chapter in the introduction, all anger is an attempt to avoid or escape the responsibility for the separation. So that's what we do all the time. So what forgiveness does is simply recognizes that. So when you forgive your brother for what he hasn't done, he hasn't taken the peace of God away from you. He hasn't separated you from the love of God. You're the one who's done that. The guilt is in your iceberg. It's not in his. So what you really do in forgiveness is you withdraw all the projections. All the projections you've placed outside of yourself, and then you withdraw the projection of guilt you placed upon yourself. Because there's nothing to forgive. There's no guilt. Nothing happened. So forgiveness really recognizes, literally, that what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. But it also recognizes that what you thought you did to you has not occurred. Because as we'll see later on, and this is a major theme of the Course, even though it isn't always fully apparent, you and your brother are literally the same. You are one. Because you all are a product of the same insane thought system. You just split off parts of a split off part of a split off part, on and on and on. Right? So that forgiveness simply undoes or wipes away the ego thought system you have placed between yourself and the love of Jesus, and then between yourself and the love of God.